Chapter 6.6 Rude Awakening. Yana woke up with both a searing hot headache and body chills. Her forehead pounded like her brain was trying to break free. Her nostrils burned when fresh air hit her exposed, broken capillaries. It was another withdrawal. She reached into her pocket, scrounged for any hit, any dose, anything to take off the edge and scratch her itch. Come on, I need something, just something, come on! She felt her pockets, her clothes, and realized she'd been picked clean. She was missing everything, including her arm. A sobering reality hit her. The bout with Luca wasn't a dream. With renewed focus, she re-examined the room. She was on a cot, still in her tattered and ripped clothing, with her arm neatly placed beside her bed. The wire still dangled from the socket. She needed tools to fix it. Tools Yana didn't have. More importantly, she needed to find a way off the ship. She had no idea whose it was, where it was, or if it belonged to Luca. The ship was silent, save for a quiet, dull snoring coming from the hall. Yana pulled her sheets off delicately, like plastic wrap, and tiptoed to avoid noise. She grabbed her prosthetic arm and crouched to sneak toward her open door. She peeked out and had a clear view to the cockpit, where a large, white Swiss shepherd laid and gently snored. The devil in Yana whispered, "Screw the dog, take the ship." Yana felt a surge of adrenaline and excitement. With a quick hot wire, the ship could be hers. The impulse almost took over, but she turned away before it took hold. She learned better than to listen to that demon, even if it was a lesson she had to relearn over and over. She took a deep breath, cast away her inner voice, and focused on sober thoughts. Well, this isn't Luca's ship. He hates dogs. She wasn't sure if that made things better or worse, but she wasn't willing to find out. She crept through the hallway, eyes trained on the dog, and checked the corners before she moved towards the back hall. Yana entered a disgusting, disheveled common room. An old leather chair peeled its hide and had a tower of loose paper by its side. The floor was littered with stained tin cans, half filled with beans and spaced like landmines. It felt like from every crevice, every corner, cockroaches scurried just out of sight. How does someone live like this? Yana shimmied through the mess and got further from the dog. She was out of earshot. Yana opened the exit latch, pushed the door open, and saw heavy rainfall outside. Great. The searing headache returned with a vengeance. It burned like a laser that cut a central seam through her forehead. Yana keeled over, braced herself against the ship's frame, and started dripping sweat. Breathe, she reminded herself. Breathe. She was hyperventilating. Her entire body convulsed. The sweat dripped down her nose, and Yana forced herself to take slow, deep breaths. The fit came and went like a guillotine, sudden and sharp, pointed and heavy. If that were the least of her worries, she survived, but she heard the dog stir awake. I can't stay. Yana looked at the downpour and embraced the rain. She covered her eyes with her detached prosthetic arm and felt even worse withdrawal pangs. Someone out there had to have a hit. Somewhere. Anywhere. She walked through town and ignored anything in her way. She breezed by the publicly hung bots, ignored warning signs, and was singularly focused on finding her hit. She passed by a lively bar with glowing, warm windows and a sign that said, "No bots allowed." She skipped it entirely. Too many people. Back alley deals were safer than soliciting Blur at a bar. Within minutes in the pouring rain, Yana was absolutely drenched. A sober mind would never attempt this, but she was itching. Her skin was crawling. Her head was pounding, and everything in her subconscious mind was screaming for her to move faster, look harder, find it, find it! It was an incessant, gnawing hunger and pain. She tucked into an alleyway, hoping to find someone, anyone, that might be huffing. She couldn't believe there was no one. No one? How can there be no one? How isn't there a single soul on this rain-soaked planet? And, ugh, my headache. She wobbled on her feet. My head. Yana felt lightheaded. She teetered over and braced herself against a rain-slicked building, but her hand slipped on its glass. Yana fell to the ground, splashed into a puddle, and struggled to get back up. She wobbled as she tried to balance on 2 feet, felt dizzy, and saw a purple blur of a figure come towards her. Yana's ears rang, and as the woman approached, she barely heard, "Excuse me, are you all right?" before she toppled over, and everything went black. If Tobias wanted Retta to stay put and out of trouble, she just accomplished the opposite. In short time, Retta, 1, found Stella, 2, found her protege, 3, entered her protege's mind, 4, masqueraded as her alter ego Juniper, and 5, convinced her to break free from Stella. Retta left with a new tattoo, a new link to karate, and a lead on her mom. She was proud and happy, up until she opened the bar door and saw the rainstorm outside. Retta was sick of being soaked in this city. She made her way back to the junk dog and decided that the next time she went out, she was bringing an umbrella. Then again, if she knew Tobias, he wouldn't have an extra umbrella, let alone a single umbrella. With her jacket pulled over her head, she closed in on the junk dog and was surprised to see Tobias waiting at the door. "Aw, waiting for me?" "Just got back and saw you. You leave the door open?" "When you left." "No." Tobias turned around without explanation. "What, it was open?" Retta took her jacket off, shook it dry outside the ship, kicked off her boots, and pulled off her damp, sticky socks. She wished Tobias did the same, since she had to tiptoe around his damp boot prints, but it was his ship, and she shouldn't have expected more. "Yeah, it was, and I got a sneaking suspicion of who did it." Tobias clicked his tongue, and heard Alpha in the other room yawn, stand up, and shake herself out. Alpha ran towards Tobias, and when he raised a hand to her, she sat on command at his feet. "You slept a little too well, didn't you, girl?" Retta followed behind Tobias as he went to Yana's quarters and stopped at the door. "Yep, figured," he said, turned away, and walked into the main hull. Retta brushed past him and looked in the room, seeing Yana and her arm missing. "She's gone?" "Yep, she's gone," he said, returning to the main hall. He moved a stack of dirty clothes off his chair and sat at his monitor. "We gotta go find her. She's not well enough to be out there alone." "Relax, kid, relax." He pulled out a beer bottle, snapped a finger blade out from his claw, and popped the bottle's cap off. "Storm gets worse at night. Don't make no sense to look for her." "That sounds like exactly why we should look for her. Why are you not worried?" Tobias turned the monitor on, and on it, a green blip pinged like an old-fashioned sonar machine from the ancient days. "What's that?" Retta asked. "Tracker. Looks like she's doing fine. Doubt she'd stay in the same place if she was getting soaked," he said, and took a drink before muttering under his breath. "That or she's dead." "You put a tracker on her?" "You sound surprised." "Yeah, that's so creepy. We brought a random, drugged-up girl missing a robotic arm on my ship. You can bet I'm tracking her in case she steals my ship." "Do you track me, too?" A conniving smile separated Tobias's lips. "Tobias!" she said and punched him in the shoulder. He rubbed it and laughed. Nah, I'm just messing with you. Ain't none on you. Yet. Don't joke like that. It's weird. The way you go running about, I should. Where'd you end up, anyway?" She hesitated to answer. Do I explain Karada's singing and how the Baton reacted? Red thought. Do I tell Tobias how I entered Karada's mind? "I found a lead on my mom," Retta said. "Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think Karada might know more." "Karada, huh? Well, I should tell you to stay put and don't get into trouble, but we both know how that goes." Tobias finished his drink and got up. He stretched out his arms, yawned, and walked to his quarters. "Where are you going?" Retta said. "To get some sleep. What about Yana? We'll find her in the morning. Retta wasn't happy, but as she looked out the ship, the rain was an impenetrable hailstorm of nails. Maybe this time Tobias was right. Yana woke up in an entirely new bed. Her searing headache was gone. Her thoughts were clear, and her senses felt normal. She felt a soft, satin pillow beneath her head and opened her eyes to see red and gold window tapestry. The flooring was clean, white marble with gray inclusions that continued from floor to ceiling. Beside her bed was a fireplace, or at least what looked like a fireplace. Crystal piping wove itself into an intricate pattern resembling a flame, and the lava inside radiated with the warmth and glow of what would traditionally be a fire. Yana propped herself up with her right arm. Wait, my right arm? She looked and saw her prosthetic reattached at the socket. Its neural connections felt natural and in tune. Oh, you're up, a woman said and entered the room with a tea set balanced on a silver platter. She placed it in front of Yana, and the steam delicately billowed out its spout. Yeah, Yana said. Who are you? The woman smiled. I'm Stella. I found you in a rough spot last night. Yeah, I just had too much to drink. Yana paused for a moment. No, I know a blur withdrawal when I see one, Stella said, surprising Yana. Stella pressed 2 fingers underneath her nostrils, above her upper lips, and Yana did the same, feeling the infamous scabs of blur users. It's a hard addiction to kick, Stella said, and took a seat on a regal, upholstered chair across from Yana. You need to wean off it slowly, or the withdrawal can kill you. That's what I hear, Yana said, confused as to why this woman was so helpful. You're lucky I had some extra. Lucky for me, Yana thought, and also a very strange coincidence. Thank you, Yana said. Why do you have extra? Most dealers were in back alleys, slums, the seedy undersides and underpasses of cities, not in regal, upholstered mansions like this. A friend, Stella said, and left it at that. You know, they say tea is good for the withdrawals. Yana looked at the tea set steaming in front of her. She reached out with her right hand, but stopped, still wondering how her arm found its way back to her body. Did you fix my arm too? Yes, I did, Stella said, and a small, hovering spherical bot glided over her shoulder. With 2 bright, blue eyes, it flew to the table and extended a hand out of its side. It poured the first cup of tea for Stella and gave a playfully electronic chirp. Thank you, Beepo, she said with a smile. I was always fond of robotics. There's a certain kind of art in their design. Yeah. Yana knew the bare minimum about bots. I appreciate the design of your arm, Stella said, looking at the tattoos on it. There's some fine craftsmanship there. Yeah, my sister made it. Your sister has quite the brilliant mind, then. In some ways. You know, Stella changed the direction of the conversation. You look like someone my friend is looking for. What was your name again? From the other room, a link rang. Beepo flew back over, grabbed the link from the other room, and flew back to show Stella the screen. Oh, I'm sorry, I have to take this call. Please, relax and help yourself to some tea. Stella stood, revealing her long, sensual shape as she walked away. Yes, hello. Yana watched Stella until she completely left. Then, in a rush, Yana scoured the room. She looked for those extra doses of blue blur. She pulled out drawers, opened cabinets, and raided the room. Her itch was coming back. She needed this. She needed these hits. Then she found it. In the nightstand beside her bed. 3 beautiful, blue vials in front of her. Pure. Clean. Raw. Stella's emergency stash. But how? From the other room, Yana heard Stella say, Luca, what is it? Yana's heart sank when she heard his name. Luca. Leaky Eye Luca. No, the conversation isn't silent. Kurata isn't here for that, but no one's here. It should be fine. It's him. It has to be him, Yana thought. Her friend is Luca. That explains the blur. she realized something even worse. And I look like the person her friend is looking for. Because that friend is Luca. Yana eavesdropped in, piecing together hints from Stella's half of the conversation. Yes, the Nexus bots will be promoted tomorrow. They'll be a perfect addition to Kurata's show. So Luca's stretching his control here through the Nexus bots. Exactly. We showcase Kurata showcases the bots, and both spread across the inner colonies. It's win-win. Not if I'm here, Yana thought. They're preparing at the Glass Palace now. I'm excited for Nexus to see. I can't wait to pop Luca's bubble so Nexus sees his failure, Yana thought. What was that? Have I seen a girl with a Baton tattoo? On her arm? No, I don't think so. But I have seen another girl. Another girl that looked like Yana. She needed to get out. She wouldn't let him find her, and she wasn't going to let him spread even more bots across the inner colonies. The only problem was that Yana's room was a dead end. A single door led in and out, and Stella was on the other side. Yana looked for another exit, and found a window behind her. She looked out, expecting rain, but there wasn't a drop outside. Yana reached for the window, and a sudden, sharp, searing headache cut through her forehead. The withdrawal. She winced in pain, and her face contorted with agony. She was rendered immobile. The door tumbler clicked, and the knob twisted as Stella opened the door. She entered, looking down at her link, and ended her call. Sorry about that. When she looked up, Yana was gone. All that was left was a single, untouched teacup with hot tea billowing steam. Outside, Yana cracked a vial of blur under her nose, felt the hairs on her neck stand on edge, her nerves pulse with life, and her mind race with newfound clarity. Luca's bots in the Glass Palace couldn't be far.